So, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to discuss something very important. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about capitalism. We're going to talk about corporatism. We're going to talk about government. We're going to talk about it all, and I hope you watch. Don't worry, I'm going to do this quick. First off, it's important for you to know there is pure capitalism, which is simply put, voluntary transactions. And then there is government, which is basically socialism, communism, which is simply put, involuntary transactions. What do we have today, people often ask me? Well, there's a third category that I haven't mentioned yet. It's called corporatism, which is basically a mix between capitalism and government, but in a very specific way. Let me explain. The transaction for the consumer is still often voluntary when it comes from the private sectors, but the businesses are exploited and corrupted by involuntary government meddling. So basically, in the front, it's a voluntary transaction. It's a voluntary transaction for the consumer, but for the business itself, it's an involuntary transaction being controlled by government. As you know, society is riddled with problems, and when the left-wingers see one of these many problems, they always blame capitalism because they see things up on the surface level. They just see, oh, well, businesses run things. I mean, you're dealing with businesses when you do a transaction. Therefore, businesses are what's corrupt with society. No, there's a government operating in the background controlling that business, literally giving them money and government incentives and tax breaks if they do what they say. Sit there and they think, oh, well, this is evil capitalism. Basically, if you follow the government's grand scheme and grand plan, you get government incentives through tax breaks and government subsidies. Basically, fall under the government's influence and the government will pay you off with you and your family's hard-earned money, aka tax money. Money that was stolen involuntarily without consent. These tax breaks and other incentives grant them a very distinct advantage in the marketplace, allowing them to get a monopoly in their specific niche and market. And that's what's pretty much what the left would consider evil about capitalism. But it's completely created by government incentives and tax breaks and copyrights and patents and bullshit like that. That allows them to basically control one niche or one market completely. How? Because they get so many tax breaks and government favors that they could offer a lower price than everybody else because they're making that much more money. The businesses can't compete, so they fall to the wayside and die, basically. And only one business, the monopoly, survives. And the reason why that's bad is because they get to control prices now. They, instead of charging like $3 for whatever their product is, now they could charge, whatever they want. They could charge $100 if they want, $200, $300, $700. You have to buy it. They're the only ones who make it. And that's what the left sees on the surface. And they're like, evil! But it's their precious government that made that. Basically, it's corruption. This obvious corruption can be seen in everyday life. Again, the leftists see the problems that the government creates by doing all this, but they always blame capitalism instead of corporatism or blaming government. Basically, they put the blame on the wrong thing. They put the blame on capitalism when it shouldn't be on capitalism. So the government sits there and does evil, and capitalism gets all the fucking shit and blame because they're the ones doing the transaction on the surface. Walmart is evil because they make hundreds of billions of dollars a year and they barely pay their workers. Goddamn capitalism. Bitch, Walmart's one of the biggest employers in the world. After they're done paying everybody, their profit is 3%. 3%! They're barely afloat. The only reason they're even afloat right now is because the government gives them tax breaks and shit like that. What do you expect them to do? Pay their employees twice? Shut the fuck up. They can't afford that. Without raising prices, at least, they can't do that. If they paid their employees any more, they would go bankrupt. Instead of paying their employees twice for no reason, which would be business suicide, by the way, instead of doing that, They could just simply build more businesses and employ more people and help out more people instead of helping out the same people twice. That seems like a way smarter idea. And that's what Walmart does. That's what McDonald's does. That's what every big business does. Yes, including Amazon. None of these businesses are evil. You know why? Because they don't force you to buy their product. Guess who does that? Government. They force you to pay taxes. Literally everything government does is through government violence and force and without consent. They force you to obey their fucking bullshit government laws that are absolutely unimportant. I mean, like, do we really need to ban menthol? Do we really need to ban vapes? Do we really need to ban marijuana? And the list goes on and on and on. Everything the government does is through force. If you don't do what the government says, at first they send you a nice letter. It's going to be court time if you don't pay up or do what we say. If you don't listen to that letter, eventually guys with guns will come to your house and they will take you away. And if you resist, they'll kill you. Everything the government does is through violence. Now, someone asked me earlier, what's the difference between capitalism and anarcho-capitalism? Okay, the truth is, corporatism has some capitalism in it. It's not full-blown. It's not concentrated. It's not all voluntary transactions. There's always that government looming behind every transaction, basically controlling the business, often giving them a harmful monopoly in return. Anarcho-capitalism, or pure capitalism, gets rid of that element of corruption in the back that ultimately corrupts the corporation or business. You're probably thinking, well, capitalism is evil because of monopolies. The only reason monopolies exist is because of government. It's because of those incentives and tax breaks that the business even can achieve a monopoly. It's because one business is getting all the advantages while the other businesses suffer and have to play by the rules. This business doesn't. All the rest do. Of course, a fucking business that's getting all the incentives is going to rise and be the most powerful and kill the other businesses because they have better tax breaks. They have better incentives. So they could offer lower prices and beat out the competition. That's literally what happens with almost every monopoly you see today. Sometimes governments just straight up give people monopolies, especially with medicine. Why do you think medicine's so fucking expensive? It's because of government, not capitalism. Again, you see businesses operating and doing medicine voluntarily, so you think, oh, it's fucking capitalism's fault that medicine's so expensive. No, it's the government looming in the background, fucking everything up. I'll prove to you a monopoly wouldn't exist without government. Now I'm going to do my trusty old fidget spinner analogy to explain monopolies and how they work under anarcho-capitalism. Let's just say that we were in pure capitalism or anarcho-capitalism where there was very limited government or no government whatsoever. Let's say you invent fidget spinners, right? So normally government would give you an advantage and allow you to have a patent or some sort of government regulation to let you keep a monopoly, right? But you're in Capistan or pure capitalism, so you don't have those privileges right now. Okay, you are gonna fall victim to market forces. Okay, look, you have a huge fidget spinner company and the world's biggest one, and I come in with lower prices and I start making fidget spinners too, but at half the price that you do. What are you gonna do to stop me? What are you going to do to stop me? You have no government to run to. Keep that in mind. Okay? You can't get a patent. You can't get a copyright. You can't do anything. You can't play by the rules and get like tax breaks that I can't get so you could offer lower prices and outprice me. You can't do that. Under pure capitalism, you're not only going to lose your monopoly, I'm going to put you out of business. Oh, and look at that. Someone else just joined the marketplace as we speak. And they're offering fidget spinners at half the price I'm offering them at. Holy shit. So that means the only way you could stay competitive is if you drastically drop your prices. You can't exploit people, right? That's the big problem with monopolies is people get exploited because one business controls the whole market supply of one product. So they could charge any price they want for their product. You can't do that under pure capitalism. Someone will come out and offer a far lower price and they'll make you charge a fair price. That's why capitalism's so fair. People honestly think that like fucking Walmart makes $500 billion a year and that's all profit, and they could just cure world hunger, but they just don't because they're greedy. No, you idiot. All that money, basically virtually all of it, goes to employees' pockets. So don't think that, because that's not realistic. Your whole worldview is fucked and wrong. You live in a fucking delusion. People like you sit there and bitch about Elon Musk spending $53 billion of his own dollars to buy Twitter to create free speech. You're pissed off at that because he doesn't save the fucking planet with that money. Meanwhile, the government spends close to $50 trillion of your hard-earned money and your family's hard-earned money and your future grandkids' hard-earned money, and they waste it. They waste it on wars. They waste it on bullshit freedom-destroying laws. They waste it on paying authoritarian fucking piece of shit rulers. They definitely don't solve the world's problems. They are the world's problem. But you don't get mad at that. You get mad at Elon Musk for spending his own fucking money. But you don't get mad at the people spending $50 trillion of money that you don't even have yet and your grandkids don't even have yet, and putting you in debt to your eyeballs, your whole fucking bloodline, just to enslave you with your own money. And you don't get mad at that. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, the verdict is this. Capitalism just means a voluntary transaction. If you hate capitalism, you prefer forced transactions where the person has no consent, they have to do it or they are harmed. Your preference is taxes, bullshit government laws, robbery, and rape. If you ask me, you are the problem with society. Of course, not you, the person listening, if you like capitalism. But if you hate capitalism, yes, you're the problem. Thank you for watching. If you really like this video, be sure to subscribe. Also, smash that like button and the bell button. If you really want to support the channel, then become a patron on Patreon. Even if you just donate $1 a month, it helps tremendously. Thanks for watching.